Hi everybody, so it's Friday night and it was a busy week for me and probably for a lot of you too, and I need a little pick-me-up, so I'm going to go with an Irish coffee, and I'm doing this in part in honor of my mother, who didn't drink much, but one thing she did drink was something called Irish Mist, which is really hard to find these days. It's a honey liqueur made with Irish whiskey and honey and spices, and on the rare occasions that she did have a drink, that was sometimes what she drank. And so I'm going to incorporate that in our Irish coffee. And she did like Irish coffee. Somebody by the name of Alex Levine once said Irish coffee is the only beverage that combines in one glass the four main food groups: fat, sugar, alcohol, and caffeine. Because Irish coffee is sugar, coffee, Irish whiskey, and whipped cream. So if you're lucky like us, you have some Irish coffee mugs. I'm making this without measuring because thanks to these Irish coffee mugs, which were a gift from Debbie and Katie Hodges, this has little lines on it that you can use to measure your sugar, your whiskey, your coffee, and your cream. So, and also just sort of like making coffee, you can make it any way that you like, however much sugar you like, however much whiskey you want to put in it, and how much coffee. Generally, it's about a spoonful of sugar, an ounce and a half or 2 ounces of whiskey, about 6 ounces of hot coffee, and then you can just use cream in it, but it's a little fancier if you use whipped cream, and so Keely whipped up some fresh whipped cream, which we're going to put a dollop on top. So usually you see me chilling my glasses. This time I'm warming the glasses with hot water, so these are warming up. And so I'm going to dump this out of our nice warm Irish coffee mugs. And we're going to put in our sugar. I'm going to put in a little bit less sugar than I normally would because the Irish Mist is fairly sweet. So I'm going to use both the whiskey, and I have Tullamore Dew. This was another gift. This is a good Irish assembly here because everything here was a gift from the Hodges. This was a gift from my good friend Dave McLaughlin. This is a bottle of Tullamore Dew that was specially distilled for the 2018 Red Sox World Championship. So we're going to go with our sugar, a small teaspoon I would say, and then using my limes here, I'm going to do just a little shot, splash-ish of the Irish Mist, just to kind of give it a little something, and really as much in honor of my mother as for the actual effect of it. And then we're going to go with the Tullamore Dew, a little bit of the Tullamore Dew up to the line here, if I could see the line. About there. All right. Then we need coffee. And this is where it's nice to have a Keurig. So you want about 6 ounces of coffee. Luckily for us, our Keurig machine has a 6-ounce button. So I'm going to brew that up. I'm going to brew them both up. While I'm brewing that up, I'm going to tell you a little story about my mother and Irish coffee. So my mother used to sell real estate on Martha's Vineyard. And one of the things she sold at one point were lots of land. She used to drive from our house in Belmont to the ferry, which is almost an hour and a half drive, and then take the 45-minute ferry ride over to the island. She would go down for the weekend and sell the real estate. And so one day she was out, it was a cold fall day, and it was raining, and she was, oh look, we're out of water. Of course, the Keurig is always out of water. But luckily I have more story to tell. It was raining and cold, and she had the map of the lots that she was selling, and they had outlined the lot lines in green magic marker all over this map. And she was out in the rain with these prospective buyers, and she was using the map as a cover from the rain for most of the day. So all the green from the map had oozed out and turned her face all green, streaks of green running down her face. She took the ferry back to the mainland, back to the Cape. She was driving home and she was cold and wet, and stopped at a restaurant that she knew would have Irish coffee because she wanted an Irish coffee. So she went in very quietly, was by herself, wanted to sit in the corner and be very, not to be noticed by anybody because she was covered in green ink. And turned out this place did a very fancy Irish coffee where they would wheel out the cart, make a big production out of it, and flame it at the table. So everyone was watching her as she shrank into her corner covered in green magic marker. So there is our coffee. We just cover it with a dollop of our fresh whipped cream. Bigger dollop.
Yeah. Don't skip on the whipped cream.
That's right. So the whipped cream kind of melts down in there, makes a nice little foam on the top. Come on.
There we go. Ooh.
Starting to drip over the side.
Perfect.
So you know you're perfect. I use my finger because we're all
family.
family here. And we'll fancy it up. It's not green magic marker. Just a little green sprinkle of sugar. So there is an Irish coffee in honor of my mother.
Ooh, see if I can get the hot.
Oh, it is hot. See,
Ooh, we're gonna put it down because it's burning my fingers. Green ink. That all works.
Excellent. So that's our little pick-me-up for Friday night. Cheers.